Testing. 1, 2, 3. Am I audible? Can you hear me? Can you see me? Am I coming
We can
through?
hear you,
Yeah.
see you, and you're delightful.
I'm delightful. Hello, everyone. Chat, let me know if you can hear me so we can get this show on the road. Oh, there are people here. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming. Oh, Snapperjack, hello. Thank you. I just realized I
Yes.
did not I did not fix this stupid screen. I had these lofty goals of having something fun and unique each time we had a new
No,
geek show, but
no,
ain't nobody got
no,
time
don't.
for that. Ain't nobody got time for
Yeah,
that.
that's why mine is a still image that is my little wolf mascot
Yeah.
drawing. And it says starting soon, and that's it. That's all I'm doing.
Take the blingies
Uh
away from Spike. I look amazing, Kristen Cheney. Thank you very much. I don't know what you're talking about. But ta-da! Here we are. And before we start the stream, you might notice, Spike, what is that? What is this? That doesn't look like your work. And you would be half correct. This is not my work. Basically what we got going on here is this is the latest page that has been sent to me by Meg Gandy for a comic. Whoops, I just drew on it. For a comic I started fucking doing, God, I don't even know, like turn of the century. How old does that make me feel? Turn of the century. Called Lucas and Odessa, for a site, Jesus Christ, this is making me feel 1,000 years old, for a site called Girl-O-Matic. And it should be noted that this is so long ago. But I was drawing and writing a comic called Lucas and Odessa, and I eventually stopped to do another comic called Templar, Arizona. And eventually I just fucking yeah. Anyway, I stopped it, and I couldn't do 2 comics at once. I was doing I was trying to do 3 comics at that point. That's how stupid I am. But suffice to say, Lucas and Odessa fell by the wayside. And what I ended up doing is I ended up eventually just writing out the full script for Lucas and Odessa, and I gave it to a friend named Meg Gandy, who is incredibly talented and has been in various Iron Circus comics before, and I love their work. Just exceptional artists. And yeah, we have been sort of slowly but surely doing this for the past like year and a half or something, where they turn in a few pages a week, and I scream about how good they are, and that's basically how it's been going. And this is the latest Lucas and Odessa page. And it's when Odessa actually goes to school. And she has been skipping school a lot because she has this horrible self-destructive impulse to just like not cooperate with the future of her life. And her friend Ashley is kind of like one of those people that they very seamlessly kind of slot into the future. Like they have no issues. They have no drama. They will transition from teenhood
I
to
mean,
adulthood.
when does this take place?
The script is very old, I should note, so you're gonna see a lot of weirdness in it. But when I wrote it,
But what's the time period?
I was picturing 90s. I was picturing 90s when I wrote it. So,
Okay.
yeah. And Ashley is just, she's like a good student. She goes to the magnet
Okay,
school.
so Ashley's future isn't completely fucked. She might still have a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, she
I was
goes,
good because I thought this was set in the 2000s, and I was like, Ashley has no problems now, but
yeah. But Ashley's just a good kid. She's like kind of one of those, I don't want to say effortless, but she is a good kid. And as a result, she doesn't give her parents any drama whatsoever. And she is only very mildly weird, very mildly. It's like the thing that it makes no sense because she goes to a magnet school. But the thing I always thought about her, and the way I describe her, is she has homeschool energy. And when I say that, there is a kind of affect from people who have never been like publicly humiliated or discouraged by a group of their peers out of something they enjoy, and they just kind of like do it with their whole chest no matter what it is. Like if it's dinosaur sculpture, or if it's making fancy soaps, or if it's talking about their herpetology collection. Like, no one ever told them, shut up, Megan, you're so lame. Like, no one ever did that, like, in front of a group of people who then laughed. Like, and Ashley kind of has that. Ashley has very strong homeschool energy where she's very, very sincere all the time and very thoughtful. And because of that, it's like there's something about her that makes Odessa want to be extra shitty to her. And so anyway, Odessa is coming to school here and she boops Ashley in the butt. And then Ashley goes, Odessa, oh my God, you came. Are you okay? Did you get in trouble? Is your dad angry? And Odessa goes, always. And then quietly, he's not my dad. Because Odessa's correct. That's not her dad. She's living with, that's her stepdad. And then Ashley just kind of course corrects and just goes, you know what I mean? Ashley, who cares? I'm here, right? Look, I'm in school. Yay, it's everything you dreamed it would be. And then Ashley goes, but you're late though. You missed attendance. It's almost lunch. And then Odessa replies, yeah, I stopped to do a bunch of drugs with my hobo boyfriend. We shared the needle. It was great. I'm pregnant now. So I believe if it were more harmless, Odessa's behavior would be being described as snarky, but it's more bitchy if we're gonna be real. Anyway, I just wanted to show that page to everyone because I really like it. I really like it.
Spike, I'm gonna share with you a panel from Chainsaw Man.
Okay.
That is why Chainsaw Man is great.
Okay. Are you putting it in here or?
I put it in the Discord.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's see what we got then. Oppositional Net Fisher is saying opposite defiance disorder. And Aether Tales, yeah, Spark Needle. Fuck, that's taking it back. That's how you know you're an OG when you mention Spark Needle.
I'm sharing with my stream the panel so they can see the beauty.
Yeah, I should notice Kel and Amanda, who is not here, but is here in spirit. They are big Chainsaw Man fans, and they have been trying to get me to watch Chainsaw Man for a while. And this is the Chainsaw Man panel that was just shared with me. Not watch. Well, I guess I could watch Chainsaw Man, but they're also trying to get me to read
this
Chainsaw
part's
Man.
Not in the anime. This is in the newest chapter on Viz.
Yeah. So that's a panel. That...
Do I feel this depressed because I haven't jerked it in a while? Could that be part of it, like physically, scientifically speaking?
Yeah. Sure.
Denji is a precious boy.
Yeah. I'm going to close this and I'm going to do not save. There we go. Oh, don't look at that. Don't look at that. Uh-oh. No. Do not look at that.
I love how dumb Denji is. He's precious. I love him.
Close that. This is just my old I was looking at this page, by the way, because somebody on Blue Sky was mentioning that they want an Ames guide brush, which is something I talked about, where I have made, see these blue lines, everybody? That's my Ames guide brush. That's what I've been using to do my lettering. And I should probably like make it pretty and actually share it. But the thing is, it was never meant to be shared, so it's not very aesthetic. It's fug.
So what I think is funny about your Ames guide brush, Spike, is what I did is I just put a bunch of Ames lettering guidelines on a piece of paper, and just copy paste that piece of paper onto every page. And
I'm sure that works.
Yeah. Nero in the chat is saying that there is the Ames guide lettering brush already exists.
Oh, I'm sure it does. Then in that case, we should probably direct the person I'm speaking of to them.
And we got Sylphie in the chat too.
Hi, Sylphie.
Sylphie's saying read Chainsaw Man.
I'm sure I should. I'm sure I should. Oh, hold on. YouTube's trying to get me to buy cable. Literally never, but thank you. Thanks. No. Okay. Let's see if I can't find my... Oh, there it is. My stylus. Yeah, this show got a late start. It didn't like technically get a late start, but it got a late start in the sense that... Whoop!
It didn't get linked properly.
Yeah, it didn't get linked properly when it should have, because this is my first week. And I am a creature of habit, if nothing else. And I realized, oh fuck, I didn't do all that shit.
When Amanda offered to make the link for you, I actually DM'd her and said, "Don't do it. Spike needs to get in the habit."
Well, I am in the habit now. Oh, Miss
Not yet. It takes a while to form a habit.
Yeah.
So,
Hi Evan, hi Nero, hi Sophie, hi Ethertails, hi Nudist. Thank you everyone for coming. Hi Miss Ellsmere. Yes, I do live. I'm sorry, it's been Kel, did
yeah.
you see the email that I posted in random?
No, I'm gonna go look at it now.
Do not say names, please.
Oh, that's
The
the one that you posted yesterday, not today.
Yeah. Don't
Yeah.
don't.
Okay.
Okay.
I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, weird things happen sometimes over here. And when those weird things happen, uh it's yeah. Yeah. Weird things happen and I'm not quite ready for them. I'm not quite sure how to react to them. And they kind of change the direction of your life completely, even though you're like, oh, I'm going to be moving in this direction, and then it's like, no, you're not. Surprise, and you have this whole new direction to consider, and that's kind of what's been happening with me, and yeah, there's a lot going on over here, but it's good in a good way. In a good way, I always my big thing these days is I complain a lot about being pulled in multiple different directions at all times, but beats being ignored because I've been very fucking ignored as far as professional stuff goes. I've been very ignored in the past.
I mean, I'm constantly ignored.
Yeah. And as a result, yes, sometimes I feel really overwhelmed. I don't get anything done. I feel like I'm letting a ton of people down at any one time, but beats being ignored, which is how it used to be. Hi, Abby. She's yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
Spike.
I have to be cryptic. I genuinely do. I genuinely do.
Spike.
Yes.
How do you feel about brutalism architecture?
Well, you know how I feel about brutalism. Was this a setup? Why are you asking me?
Oh no, it was just before watching the werewolf movie. For those in the chat, in my Discord, we watch a werewolf movie every full moon, and usually before I just watch YouTube's until it's time to start the movie. And a YouTuber that I like, overly sarcastic, he did a 20-minute video that is just him yelling about how much he hates brutalism. Like,
Well, he's correct. He
and,
is right.
yeah,
He is correct and right. Brutalism fucking sucks. I understand the philosophy behind it. I understand like the thesis of brutalism. I understand that it is a departure from Rococo architectural sensibilities. That the idea is that the palaces of the people should focus on the people and not upon aesthetics, and therefore everything should be as efficient as possible. Everything should be as no nonsense as possible. The palaces of the people should not be like Russian subways. They should be the most efficient possible embodiment of themselves so that the resources of the people aren't spent on, say, shooing pigeons off of the cupids and the pooties, I guess would be more accurate, that are, swagged around the entrance of, a neoclassical door that has multiple carvings in it, and like, no, that's bullshit. You spent the money of the people on that. You should have just a plain iron door and a plain, terrazzo facade, and that is the
so
most.
like,
But I hate it. It's ugly. We deserve pretty
yeah,
things. We deserve beautiful things. You fucking
yes.
deserve beautiful things.
So, a thing that he was talking about is like, well, like in theory, like he also understands the theory behind it. But the problem is that like concrete is so oppressive, and they get so into making their practical shapes that there is a way to make brutalism look better, and that is by leaning into what's around it that isn't the concrete. And so he did actually show some examples of nice looking brutalism, and that's because it's like it's on the California coast, and so the shapes are aligned in a way that the silhouette on the horizon with the sunset looks very pretty. So it's like the point is not like so while it is still technically brutalism, it is using like the natural surroundings around it to create beauty. um Evan, I will link it to you. Give me a moment.
Hi, Morales
I don't think I
81.
can
I'm
put
glad I can be
links in the
educational.
chat. Spike, I don't think I can put links in the chat.
Okay.
And then the other example he gave was that there was a cathedral that was made during brutalism that has giant windows. So the actual beauty comes from like the way the light comes through the windows. And I lied. It's not a 20-minute rant. It's a 10-minute rant.
No, brutalism is ugly and reactionary, and it's all about not being sumptuous and sort of like having decorative exuberance. I hate it. I hate brutalist
I posted
buildings.
a link in that chat, in the chat. Does that work?
I don't see anything.
But, yeah, I'm probably blocked from doing it.
Yeah, I just.
All right, I'm gonna post it to you in Discord, Spike, so you can put it in the chat.
Okay. I just really fucking hate brutalism. I like my thesis isn't any more complex than we deserve beauty. That is my thesis. And by the way, it's for that same thesis I dislike the vast majority of modern buildings as well. I don't like glass box architecture. I think it is both aesthetically unpleasant and also environmentally negative. I think it's the whole negative package.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand my preferences could be misinterpreted as being just a Luddite, because I prefer kind of like the brick buildings with walls of windows.
What's funny is I have actually seen in person one of the most famous brutalism buildings. Because I did a semester in France while at SCAD, and they only let certain majors go each year because they want to make sure that it's actually relevant to your major. So the comic kids always went during Angoulême. But usually every semester there was architecture or history of architecture majors. And because we had the same like sort of schedule, the comic majors were sort of dragged along to some of the excursions the architecture history majors were going on. And one was to the famous brutalist apartments in Marseille. And I remember one architecture major like being like, "So what do you think?" And I, being snarky, was like, "It's pretty ugly." And he is like, "Well, it's funny that you say that because that's actually the point." And I was like, then they succeeded in their point of being ugly.
It's brutalism does have a point, and I understand its point, but its point doesn't make it better. It's like, I am sure the concrete building is much easier to take care of than Versailles. I'm sure you're absolutely right.
And it's also like the thing that gets me is concrete is so flexible, like what you can do with it, that like, why are you just making boxes? They could theoretically make pretty things.
They make
pretty
boxes
shapes
because they are making an aesthetic point, and it's a shitty point.
No, I understand like that's why, but like so I understand like concrete is easy to take care of and is more efficient and cheaper, so we should use it more. But that doesn't mean you have to make everything a fucking box.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah, I hate that.
You could use concrete to make like a dome or like interesting archways or whatever.
Also, I'd like to like be whiny and complaining right now, even more so, because right now, if I'm not mistaken, as we speak, Las Vegas, who is the exact opposite of being just brutalist, minimalist, depressing, is gearing up for an event that I've been wanting to go to for years and years and years and years, and I have yet to I have yet to make it out there because I've yet to be able to conceive of a way to safely expense it, so it's a business expense. Um, they are preparing for the licensing expo, and you've probably seen me, if you followed me for any amount of time, you've probably seen me talk about this on social media. The licensing expo is just a bunch of people get together in a room and, like, I make towels. Oh, really? I represent the BBC, and I am willing to sell you, you know, branding for Doctor Who for those towels, even though, you know, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy would be more appropriate, but we don't have the rights to that. We have the rights to Doctor Who, so we'll let you make Doctor Who beach towels, and here, let's sign this contract together and make Doctor Who beach towels. So that's what the licensing expo is. Just a room full of that. And what's kind of fascinating about it is, if you go, you know, this kind of shit needs to kick off long before anybody is actually doing anything. So, you know, if, for example, the Trolls movie is coming out in 2026, they need to get going on this licensing shit now in 2024. So you get to see sort of little sneak peeks into what is coming up in pop culture.
Nero in the chat is saying, I love a dome. Nero, you would like the channel that I had Spike link then, because the dude that talks about architecture and history loves himself a dome. He wants to talk about all the domes and tell you all about all of them. It's like, it's funny because it's like two people that sometimes bounce off each other, and the guy really likes to talk about history and architecture, and the girl really likes to talk about writing, mythology, and tropes and stuff. And then they have like mutual conversations together. It's fun.
Okay.
Good little videos.
But yeah. There's a woman on YouTube who is kind of fascinating to me. She's an older lady who goes to the licensing expo clearly just, you know, for shits and giggles. She recognizes basically nothing there. So you have to imagine this sort of very sweet old lady voice while she's filming, walking slowly up and down the aisles, and she passes like a giant fiberglass Goku, and she's all like, "This is the Japanese cartoons, very popular." Very popular. So it's like, it's incredibly fucking charming to hear her do things. And again, that's like the only way I've been able to go to the licensing expo ever, by just watching this old lady's videos and seeing, it's like, why are they pushing that so hard? What's happening in 2026? Why is there a representative for that at the licensing expo? And suffice to say, Iron Circus is kind of maybe sort of teetering on the brink of being able to justify going there. But we're not quite there yet. So I'll have to pass.
We have to get lackadaisy beach towels out into the world.
See, you're kidding, but...
I'm not kidding.
That's literally what it's for.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. I need a beach towel with zib on it.
In that sort of Peter Griffin dead body pose.
Yeah. Now, do they also license body pillows? That's important.
I do not know. I mean, I'm sure you could find somebody who would. That's what it's for. I don't know if this lady would know what a body pillow is if she saw it. The woman I wait with bated breath.
Okay, so Kendra Wells, who does Real Hero shit for Iron Circus, I found their artwork because they used to do animated summaries of Teen Wolf for MTV's official website.
I remember that. Holy shit. Blast from the past.
And they told me that once they went to like the official like Teen Wolf fan con and were selling body pillows of the characters, but the actors were there, and one actor that she had a body pillow of his character, that they had a body pillow of his character, is like asked what that was, like, what is this? And they had to explain body pillows to this actor.
It's so a random fan can hump you in their dorm room.
Well, and so what's very funny is his reaction was not that's weird. His reaction was, but why did you draw me with no body hair?
That's a fair question.
Um, and so then they signed one of the body pillows of his character.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he signed one of the body pillows of his character and drew a happy trail on it.
Good. Good. Right the
And
wrongs.
I think that's really funny.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm fine if people want to hump a pillow with me on it,
But it has
but
to
it
be.
needs to be accurate.
Yeah. That makes me think of God, like a billion years ago, and I'm so stupid because I didn't save it. I should have saved it. I found somebody who made a porno animation of Penny from Poorcraft, and it was Penny sucking dick. And I remember thinking to myself, I make way sexier characters than her. Like, I don't know why it would have to be Penny.
Maybe they just are really into noodle arms.
they're into the macaroni limbs. I was just thinking to myself, like, Penny, really? Out of all of them, I make literal pornography in Penny.
But see, the literal pornography, like,
Yeah,
that's
like,
no
oh,
fun
yeah,
to
I've
turn
seen
into
that.
pornography then. Yeah.
If you see it again, get it to me because I'm really stupid for not saving it. It never occurred to me at the time to save it. But yeah. I remember
Do you still
seeing
have
that.
the
Everyone's all
Tumblr
like,
porn
oh
that
yeah,
I drew you?
the old Penny sucking dick out memories. Yes, I like to keep that around just because I just...
No, Nero, you're in the Iron Circus Slack. Just post it in random.
It's on the site of infamy, of course. But yeah, I just, I'm not offended by shit like that. I was more just sort of mystified. I think it's the best way to describe it. It's as if they had decided to make porn of like a rock.
I know every time I've gotten porn of my characters, I feel like it's predictable.
Yeah. See, the thing is, I wouldn't even feel the need to comment if it was predictable porn.
Yeah.
But it was just so out of left field.
If
I'm looking forward to
people
porn. If anybody makes porn,
if people are curious, it's a lot of Seth stepping on Danny.
I'm looking forward to maybe one day seeing porn of these folks because I just feel like I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna be like, incorrect.
Their genitals are wrong.
Yeah, that is not what they look like. How very mammalian of you. That's not what they look like at all. No, how very placental of you. That's not what they look like at all. I'll be very sort of try again. Of course, this is... By the way, Evan Dom is in here. Evan, if you are still in here, congratulations on your fucking Eisner nomination. Congratulations. Evan was nominated for Best Webcomic for Third Voice, and you should all go vote for him. If you are a comics professional, you can do it. So you should go do it. If you have been published in a professional capacity in comics, you can vote for Evan for Best Webcomic, and he fucking deserves it. So go vote for him. I am not...
Oh, what's very funny is the other day, I was talking to a friend about Delicious in Dungeon, and they were like, I'm so disappointed that the Delicious in Dungeon fan art isn't full of monster fuckers. And I was like, you are looking at the wrong part of the fandom then, because that is my entire Tumblr is a bunch of people wanting Marcel to fuck Phelan in her big dragon form.
Was that a spoiler? Did you just spoil
maybe
something? You just
I
like
did. I'm sorry.
Fucking...
I'm sorry, but if you look at any fan art, that's like all the fan art of her. So
I guess we know how the whole trip to go get her resurrected works out. Wow, Kel, thanks.
Listen, you need to be caught up. I'm sorry. This happened like a month ago in the...
Yeah. Although I should note, I don't. Number one, I'm kidding, everyone. Genuinely, I'm kidding. I don't super care. Uh, but number two, my personal sort of philosophy when it comes to spoilers is that if someone is so serious about seeing something that they don't want any spoilers, I give them a year. Because, you know, we all got shit going on. I give you a year to see the thing you are absolutely foaming at the mouth to see and don't want spoiled for you. Then I'm going to fucking talk about it on social media. Because if you haven't seen it after a year, then you clearly didn't really care.
Like, no you say this, but I remember watching the finale of Mad Men with you and you tweeting immediately how it ended.
A person could change. A person could change.
Like, it hadn't even aired on the West Coast because, and yeah.
Rosebud with his sled. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I have watched Delicious in Dungeon is one of those things. It's got the same vibe for me as wow, I'm gonna like lose every friend I have. It's got the same vibe for me as Cowboy Bebop and Neon Genesis Evangelion, where it's like, I don't get it. You kids have fun, but I don't get it. Like I gave it a chance. It's not doing whatever it needs to be doing for me. It's not doing it. So I'll be over here not watching it ever. But you kids have fun. I just
okay. So I didn't spoil it for you because you never intend to watch it.
No, I have watched it. I've watched 3 episodes on Netflix.
No, I mean the part that I quote unquote spoiled.
Well, you know, this is going to be easier because now, you know, I can just know what happened and I don't have to watch it. Yeah, it's
yeah,
I'm sure it's
they resurrect her with dragon meat, and because they use dragon meat to resurrect her, the dungeon turns her into a monster. And now all the porn is monster Phelan fucking Marcel.
As one does.
Yeah.
Nero is saying in the chat, the comic is superior though, to be honest. Oh, without question. I have seen pages of that comic. That is a beautiful fucking comic.
I have read the whole comic. It's great.
I have, in general, been very unimpressed with manga interpretations of what, you know, would not normally be called, like, Western-style fantasy. You know, the standard issue, elf, dwarf, human, orc kind of thing. But I think Delicious in Dungeon does it in a way more interesting way than, like, 90% of what I've seen. But that's
what I think is interesting, Spike, is whenever Japan does a D&D inspired comic, kobolds are dogs, but in the West, they're like dragons.
Yeah. I actually prefer Japanese orcs too because I like the piggy.
And yeah, and then the orcs are pigs. And it's someone was like digging into why this happened, and it was basically the illustrations for the first time kobolds were in D&D was like sort of ambiguous as to what they were. And then like the stuff inspired by D&D like split in opposite directions.
Yeah, it's an evolution.
Yeah.
And I like
I thought that
piggy orcs a lot. They're great.
And I like that the kobolds are doggies.
Yeah. And I'm not saying this as if, oh, you know, only people in America and in England can do that sort of fantasy properly. No, I hate like 90% of that shit over here too. I think it's incredibly fucking boring. I think, oh God, I'm gonna make so many fucking enemies. I'm so sorry. Like, Lord of the Rings is boring as shit. Like, all of it. The books, the movies, it's all so boring. I don't get it. And this is my personal taste. This isn't an objective indictment. This is me saying, I think it's boring and I don't watch it. So, you know, everybody who's super into it, you are still allowed to be super into it. This is not me condemning you. I always have to do all this fucking protective shit because people identify so closely with their fucking media. They take it as a personal attack, but it's not. I just don't like it. So...
Spike, I recently saw on Tumblr, someone did sort of the opening of the Lord of the Rings from the movie, but like translated it into like Southern Appalachia talk. It's like times are changing, y'all. And
See, that'd
it
be more
all
interesting.
started when the elves got these rings. And it was great.
Yeah, I just like it's just whatever I need, it hasn't got, and I try to give things a chance because I've been like dead fucking wrong about shit before, and I like to be surprised, but I gave like I watched like 2 of those movies and I'm like, this is not working. Goodbye. And bless you if you love them. I'm glad that your desires and preferences are so exquisitely catered to. You are very lucky, but not my deal. Not my deal at all. You're all taking this very well, by the way. Lord of the Rings is very World War I core. See, now the author is fucking rising from the grave to come and throttle you for that, Abby. Because remember, he hated when anyone accused him of allegory. He's like, no.
I love the Tumblr post going around that was like Tolkien yelling at people about allegory and how it's not an allegory, and then it cuts to, meanwhile, C.S. Lewis, if a single person doesn't understand that this lion is Jesus, I will kill myself.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, hey, pencil ears. Thank you for dropping in. Oh my goodness, 27 people. Thank you for coming, everyone. Apologies that all I've done is these little sketches. This page has been giving me the runaround. I have no idea what I'm doing. So basically, it looks kind of like you should be wearing 3D glasses for it, doesn't it? Basically, so Ta has made their stupid joke, like, and they're laughing about it, and Bettany's just like, whatever, idiot, give me your hand. And Ta goes, no, I'm fine. And Bettany's like, okay, suit yourself. And then it just starts getting darker and darker and darker. And then it's going to be very dark up here, and there's going to be sort of like a pinpoint of light. And then they're going to enter the cavern proper. And so it took me entirely too long to come up with this, but I think this is what we're going to do. Spike, please turn your sound up. Okay, I'm so sorry. I don't know why this is always this way. I'm ready to blame the mic, honestly. Let's see. Can I... Lock volume, no. Properties, no. Let's see if it's this. There we go. Desktop audio. Why is my desktop audio at 44? Hold on. I'm going to turn myself up.
Well, because the desktop audio is me talking.
Yeah.
So you probably were turning me down while trying to turn yourself up.
Okay, I'm going to try 300%. Let's see if that helps. I'm going to have to just get a fucking headset, I think. Let me see. Am I at 300%? Oh, I think maybe I'm too far from the mic because I am like leaning away from it while I work. I'm going to scooch it forward a little bit.
Do you have a mic arm, or is it just on a stand on your
desk? It is
desk?
just on a stand, and I think it should be like very close to my mouth. I think I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah, I keep mine pretty close, like, because I have an arm, so it's like floating where close to where my mouth would be, where I usually sit.
Yeah. Growing up, we had a copy of the Jerusalem Bible in our house that was translated by C.S. Lewis and Tolkien. Oh. Wow. I didn't even know that occurred.
Yeah, they did a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just I'm not particularly into either of them, so naturally I don't know a lot of trivia about either of them. Oh, Miss Ellesmere, thank you. Yeah, I'm probably a little more sort of out of pocket when it comes to doing the sketches for my comics because, like, I don't plan anything. I just go with it. So I'll, like, spend an entire 2 hours doing a sketch for a panel and then be like, this isn't working at all, and just delete it all and have to start from nothing. Because that's so efficient.
It is.
It is. Yeah, you can see why I'm so fast. There we go. Harry Schultz.
I'm now thinking about architecture again. I need to get more Art Deco building reference. Because I realized recently I was like repeating myself more than I want to in like the street scenes. So I need to like get a book of Art Deco-y architecture.
Yeah, that might help.
Tracy recommended one to me, so I'm gonna.
And Tracy would know.
Grab that. Yeah.
Tracy, of course, everyone being Tracy Butler.
Yes.
I was a Brian Jacques kid growing up. Is that Redwall? Is Brian Jacques Redwall, or is that Wheel of Time? I don't know who did what.
No, Wheel of Time is someone else.
Robert Jordan. Robert Jordan is Wheel of Time.
Yeah.
And Wheel of Time is another one of those series. I'm so fucking persnickety. It's another one of those series where I like tried to read it. I'm like, no.
I watched the first episode of the Wheel of Time show, not really knowing anything about it, other than like, oh, this is popular. I should check out the show to see like if maybe I want to check out the books. And I watched the first episode, and then I Googled, does the gender stuff ever get better in Wheel of Time?
No, that's Wheel of Time.
The answer is no. No. The answer is no. Google did not let me down. It did very clearly answer, no, it does not. Like, that was the top result, was someone asking that on Reddit. And they were like, it does not. It will never give you what you want.
It is literally
it's like, good, I'm going to clock out, done.
Yeah. There's this whole thing about how, like, the Grand Poobah, the Great Galumph, the Chosen One of that story, could only be a boy. Only. And it's like, oh, okay.
Oh, it's worse than that, Spike.
Well, I admittedly didn't read much. I stopped pretty early.
Well, like I said, from the one episode of the show, and this part is accurate to the books, like people were complaining about differences between the show and the books, and this part was left intact. There is man magic and there is woman magic, and you can only learn woman magic if you're a woman from other women, and if you're a man, you can only learn man magic from other men, and man magic is inherently stronger individually, but women magic has access to teamwork. So I was like, I hate all of this. And the way that the men get in touch with their magic is they have to conquer like the elements, but women have to submit to the elements and let it flow through them. And I was just like, I hate all of this.
Yeah, it fucking sucks. It fucking sucks. Like, all of Wheel of Time fucking sucks. I hate it.
Yeah.
And again, if you're in here listening and you love Wheel of Time, nobody can take that away from you, especially not me, a voice on the internet, do you? But I fucking hated everything about it.
And, like, the fact that the Chosen One can only be a boy, if that was it, it would not have bothered me as much, because they're like, well, it needs to be a boy because there needs to be a balance of magic users. And they killed all the male magic users last generation. And I was like, okay, like, I could get on board if it was that alone. But the fact that it's like, no, we gotta go all in on gender essentialism. I was like, I hate this.
Wheel of Time fucking sucks. I don't like anything about it.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't know to what degree, because it's like, since I don't like the books, and, like, this is something I decided when I was, like, fucking 16. I don't like the Wheel of Time books. I never bothered with the series. So when people are like, oh my god, the Wheel of Time series is terrible, I'm like, I would expect nothing less.
Yeah, it's so bad.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. I am absolutely sure it is. But it was one of those things where, you know, it was right there. It was in the library. It was summer, whatever. And so I gave it a chance. You know, all I knew is there were lots of them. And the way my brain worked was just like, if I like it, then I'll have like 50 books to read. And
I sometimes work like that. Yeah. Like, if I like this series, I will have a lot to go through.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, Yeah.
Pencilers, that I 100% agree with you. Like, if you're gonna do gender magic, the only interesting way to deal with that is a non-binary protagonist.
Yeah.
That's the correct answer if you're doing gender magic story. That or even just gender nonconformity in general.
Yeah.
Spike, did you ever read his Dark Materials?
I want to say that's the armored bear stuff, right?
Yes.
Where everybody has a magical pet, basically.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember reading it. I don't remember a lot about it, and I think I skipped the last book. Like it held me for a while,
Oh,
but
so
not
you
long
missed
enough.
when they killed God.
Oh, I heard about when they killed God, but I think it's very telling that people were like, "Oh my God, you stopped on book X, so then you didn't get to the part where they killed God," and that was not enough to bring me back.
Yeah.
The anime ending was not enough to bring me back.
Yeah. I appreciate that it was basically an atheist response to Chronicles of Narnia.
Is that what the author said?
Yeah, it was basically he was like, we got this super duper Christian kid fantasy series. Here's an atheist fantasy series where the church is evil and we kill God.
And like, I don't remember their motivation, but for fuck it, I'm going to abide by my own rule. If you really cared about his Dark Materials, you would have read it by now. They like there is a central bit in the storyline where so everybody has a magical familiar basically that takes the form of a talking animal. That's the deal. And one of the big MacGuffins, one of the big sort of inciting incidents, I guess you could say, of the series is someone has created a contraption that severs the mystical connection between you and your familiar. I don't recall why they'd want to do that. But,
there is a reason.
Yeah.
Basically, they see this magical, like if they look through a certain device, they can see quote unquote magic dust that gathers mostly on adults.
Okay.
And doesn't gather on children.
Okay.
And the Catholic Church, which is in charge of the world in their alternate reality, decides that this magic dust is sin. And through experimentation, they find out that if you sever the magical connection between someone and their familiar, that the dust stops collecting on you. So they're like, if we do this to children before they hit puberty, then no dust/sin will collect on them.
It's like a magical lobotomy.
So yeah, it is basically a magical lobotomy. So yeah, so that's what, and it's basically like that is why they're doing it, because they're the Catholic Church.
Yep. That's all the reason they ever needed for anything in the past.
Yeah. We're doing it to stop sin is their justification for it.
Makes sense.
And this basically though is like, by doing that, you are like it's a magic lobotomy. So you are severing them from their creativity and their ability to think for themselves and their desires in general. So, yeah.
There we go. Yeah. I'm by the way, I know this is like turning into kids book talk, but there is something that I was recently made aware of. I should note I do not subscribe to Disney Plus, so that's why I don't know about these things. I was recently made aware of that someone took a really good idea and then they made a thing, and apparently they kind of let everybody down because it was good. Like, the concept is really cool, and I personally could not stop thinking what I would do with it, but the actual execution is apparently.
What was the thing you were talking about on Disney Plus?
Sorry, can anyone hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Oh God, this fucking thing. Sorry, I don't know. My connection just completely hiccuped. Pardon me. My connection hiccuped. Sorry
Can
about
you
that.
hear me, Spike?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
All right. So what's the thing you were talking about on Disney Plus that's a huge disappointment?
Percy Jackson. And the basic premise, when I first heard about it, I'm like, oh, that's got possibilities. And for folks who are unaware, the basic premise is that all the Greek and Roman myths about how Zeus, for example, just could not stop going around fucking mortal women and fathering half-god children. Yeah, he didn't stop. So there's a whole bunch of half-god children wandering around in modern day who are the children of Greek and Roman gods, including Percy Jackson there. And they go to a special like fucking camp for the kids of these half-god the half-god kids.
I've actually read Percy Jackson, Spike.
Yeah?
Yes.
How do you find it?
So the guy who wrote it has said multiple times in interviews that he read it for his dyslexic son who also has ADHD.
Okay.
Because his kid really liked fantasy stuff, but could not get into reading because of those two things.
Okay.
And as someone who did not read as a kid for that exact reason, not the ADHD part, but the dyslexic part, I was like, well, I'm curious about this book series. I would have loved it if I read it when I was 10. But it is very clearly for someone who is 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's I am perfectly I live in a world full of shit that's not for me. Why do you think I founded a publisher? So I'm okay with shit that's not for me. But the execution where they're trying to sort of maybe leave the door open for an older person to, kind of enjoy the concept, which I think is entirely possible. It didn't grab me.
So you watched the show, or?
I watched clips and reviews. I do not subscribe to Disney Plus, so I do not watch the show.
Okay. Because I haven't watched the show yet, and the books are very clearly for children, and they are not trying to aim for older people at all. That's
fine.
In fact, as soon as Percy and his little crew get to 17, he jumps to different kids that are once again 10. So it is very clearly the intent is this is for children.
And that's fine,
what I think is actually really good of the series and the author is people were like, oh, can you do this with other mythologies? And instead of being a white guy and appropriating everyone else's cultures, he found and hired people of those cultures to write their culture's equivalent of the series.
Nice.
So it's when I say reading it as an adult, I could tell this is for a kid who has trouble reading, because there is a fight every 5 pages. We're having a conversation, giving you some exposition, and then a minotaur attacks. They get to the school, they get some exposition, and now a bully is picking a fight with him, and punches are happening. So it's literally fight, little bit of talking, fight, little bit of talking, fight. Very clearly trying to be pay attention, something is attacking you.
Speaking of magical schools, I don't know if anyone else has been seeing the trailer for Wicked.
I am so mad. Spike, I'm so mad that is 2 movies. I'm incandescently mad.
It's so funny to me.
Cause I like the musical Wicked.
Sure, yeah.
I think Jeff Goldblum is great to cast as the wizard.
Sure.
this does not need to be 2 movies. Why is it 2 movies? It doesn't. This is not a story that needs 4 or 5 hours to tell.
I know, right?
This is like no, like this. Like, unless they're adding an hour of Elphaba and Glenda making out, I don't want this to happen. Like,
yeah.
That is the only acceptable reason I can think of.
Yeah.
Ether Tales.
Everybody, the minute I mention it, just the chat is all, I have opinions.
Ether Tales, it's basically they're cutting the musical Wicked in half, and the movie that is coming out is the first half of the musical extended a half an hour.
And there's just no
and then they're going
it.
to put out the second half of the musical extended a half an hour.
No need for it.
And
none.
That is going to be like there is I do know about Son of a Witch. But yeah, it's just like, why is the musical 2 movies? That doesn't, like,
because
no,
money.
That's nonsense.
Because money. That's why. You know why. Because money.
And I'm so mad. I'm so mad.
Cal, of all my friends, Cal has the strongest musical theater opinions. So I was very curious to hear what you would have to say about this. I personally have very sort of like, so like disappointed but not surprised feelings.
I assume there's going to be new songs, because every time there is a movie version of a musical, they have a new song that's unique to the movie. You know, so they can sell the soundtrack of the movie as different than the soundtrack to the musical.
Gotta catch them all. Yeah.
So like that wouldn't bother me. It's more just, why is it 2 movies? That's
because capitalism.
Spike, this is like an intersection. Like, I hate the trend of movie part 1 and movie part 2. Like,
and you are right too.
I hate that. I want a movie to be a completed, like, thing. If you want a story to be like 6 hours long, then just make a mini series.
Right.
Like,
yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. I've never seen Wicked or Wiz. These are all from The Wizard of Oz. The Wiz I have seen. I was not told what I was watching when I watched The Wiz as a child, so it was a very surreal experience for me. And if that wasn't weird enough, the aunt who put on The Wiz for me then immediately followed it up with Return to Oz. So the whole experience it sticks out in my brain of like, I didn't understand anything. It was just compelling nonsense being trumpeted in my face. But yeah, I mean, like, The Wizard of Oz is kind of one of those, I guess, touchstone things. People kind of expect you to absorb, to know what everyone's talking about so they can riff on it. And it's fine. It's fine. I have like such shitty media opinions. Like, nothing is good enough for me, it seems like sometimes. But no, there are things I'm really fucking into, I promise. It's just, most stuff is fine. That's just how life is. Most stuff is just fine.
Spike, what did people say that they don't like about the Percy Jackson show?
I saw a whole video essay where the dude just got fucking like down in the mud with it and talked about how much he hated it. And what he mostly focused on is how the characters didn't seem to like each other, even though they were supposed to be really good friends. And everyone's motivation seemed really muddled and nonsensical.
So the thing about the characters not really liking each other, they're not really good friends until like the 3rd book.
Fair enough.
They're just on a road trip together in the 1st book. I haven't actually seen the show, so I won't judge it, but I know like I'm a little bit hesitant to get into the people who hate it, because a lot of the people hate it for, can you guess the reason, Spike?
Did they make a character not white?
Yes, they did.
Oh, there we go. That'll do it. Every time. I'm like not even surprised anymore. It's like non-white people sat through literal centuries of white people making everybody white.
Like, even though the premise is just that the Greek gods are fucking anybody, so they could be fucking anybody of any race.
Yeah, it's very weird to think they wouldn't.
And also, the girl that they made not white is from Athena.
Okay.
She's Athena's daughter. And what's very interesting about the children of Athena in this is Athena's kids can be born without Athena having sex. They pop out of her head the way Athena came out of Zeus's head.
That's not how that works.
So if she has like an intellectual connection with a person, she can make a kid.
That's an interesting take on it.
Yeah. So like there is interesting stuff in the books, even though it is very clearly for kids.
Yeah.
What's very also fun is so the camp is organized based on who your parent is.
Okay.
And they have like a cabin for each god that you are is your parent. But the Hera one is empty because Hera's the goddess of marriage. She's not stepping out the way her husband is. It's like a really catty, passive-aggressive comment from Hera as to why her cabin is empty. Like,
that's cute.
Then what else is fun is, so Artemis has a cabin, but they're all kids that are like adopted by her.
Yeah, because virgin goddess, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun. Like it does just enough to like subvert your expectations if you do know Greek mythology. But it is also, like I said, very clearly for children.
Speaking of Greek mythology, so Hades 2, am I right? How's everybody feeling about it?
People are liking it.
People are liking it a lot, yeah.
People are horny for it, just like the first one.
There was someone on Blue Sky who every time a new character got introduced, like in the storyline, they would just take a screenshot and then post it with all caps, "If you look like this, text me." It's like, settle down, God. But, yeah, it's looking pretty good. I have not... Again, it has not been out for very long, so I will not spoil it.
It's in early access, so they also might change stuff.
But I really liked Hades 1. Hades 1 was really interesting. I liked it for multiple reasons. One of the big ones was sort of the retake on the marriage of Persephone and Hades. And once again, you know, it's been out for a very long time. If you cared enough, you would have played it by now. So I'm gonna just sort of barrel ahead here. The traditional story is that Persephone was kidnapped by Hades, and now it was like Hades went and asked...
Spike, that's not the original.
No, he went to Zeus and he asked for her hand.
It was Zeus gave Persephone to Hades.
Yeah, exactly. He went to Zeus.
That's not kidnapping. That's
it was her agency was not a factor. Let's just say that.
Right.
And she has basically been tricked into being forced into staying in the underworld because she swallowed pomegranate seeds while she was down there, and the number of pomegranate seeds is the number of months per year she is forced to stay in the underworld with her husband, her forcibly married to husband. And that is the traditional Greek, take on it. And Hades did not do that. Hades changed that and actually gave Persephone agency. And I liked that. I like that they riffed on it. I like that they changed it up a little bit. And I also like the discussion that the Hades game sort of brought up, that we kind of have this opinion that Greek mythology is complete, and it's really not. It's really not. Like, I think Scandinavian mythology gets a lot of attention for being incomplete. Like, there's so many big things in Scandinavian mythology that, you know, they, as we all know, X, Y, Z. It's like, wait, what? No, we don't all know that. When did that happen? And it's because it's lost. It's lost lore. We don't know that. We know we can't know what we can't know. But a lot of mythology, all mythology, is kind of like that. And Greek mythology has entire wars that are referred to that we have no idea what happened.
There's also so here's to bring it to my specialty, werewolves.
Of course.
One of the earliest accounts of werewolves, or so depending on your definition of werewolf.
100% for bottoms. Thank you,
So basically, the first sort of story that we have evidence of where a human turns into a wolf, we don't actually have the story. We have a line in Gilgamesh. We have a line in Gilgamesh that references it. We don't have the actual story. We only know it exists because Gilgamesh is like, but what about that time you did this?
Yeah, there's stuff like that in Greek mythology too. Like the War of the Titan. Like, there is a Greek word for it, but basically there was a war where the Olympians and the Titans, they fucking went at it, and of course the Titans lost. And we don't know any of the details of that war. We just know that it happened because they keep talking about it and talking about how, like, fucking sick nasty it was and how crazy it was and how...
Well, we do know that Zeus killed his dad.
Well, we know that, but we don't know, like, the details. And there were definitely details by the way it is talked about, where it is referenced.
Yeah.
And we don't know anything beyond there was a war and the Titans lost.
Yes.
So it's kind of wild that there's this, like, gaping hole. And that's why I kind of dig what the Hades team is doing, because I'm of the opinion that mythology is malleable. It changes with people who, with the audience, and we shouldn't expect mythology to be dead.
One thing
we shouldn't expect it to be inflexible.
That I really, so like Spike, the people I was talking about earlier, the overly sarcastic productions. One thing I really like is when the girl of the team is talking about mythology. She likes to do those deep dives into, like, how the story changes over time.
Right.
And one thing that I thought was really interesting is she talked about the mythology around Loki, and how he's kind of, like, treated in modern times as, like, a trickster god and stuff. Whereas if you think about the way other myths work, he might actually be more of a scapegoat mythological figure rather than a trickster.
So, like, a senator type, or...
Well, because it's basically... he doesn't actually do anything that's any worse than any of the other Norse gods, but he is always the one who gets punished for them. And then there's also stuff where, like,
he did fuck that horse, though.
Yeah, but all the Norse gods are fucking everything. So
they're gods. It's all they do.
And it's also like the story of Fenris getting locked up is because it was, like, prophesized that he would destroy the world.
Yeah.
So we better trick him and lock him up.
Right.
And in any other myth, when he gets out and wrecks everyone's shit, that is, like, the good guy winning. But it's not treated that way because the fragments we have of Norse mythology, they treat Ragnarok like the apocalypse, whereas if you look at, like, the way mythology usually works, maybe it's a good thing that he destroyed all this shit. He's going to destroy all this shit because case in point, the Norse gods are not good people.
Yeah. And I'm sure everyone who had like a mythology phase.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was more than a few kids. And I'm sure some folks in here had their mythology phase. We all know about why what little we have of Norse mythology is like you can't trust it. It's so inherently, you know, in question because of the chronicler who felt the need to like, and then Jesus came, you know, just like fucking insert his own bullshit into things.
He was also trying to like, it was propaganda to unite the I forget the collective name for that area.
Scandinavians?
Yes. He is trying to unite all of them, like, we're all this.
Slides whole ass webcomic under rug. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I should note, you know what else is propaganda to make people feel united and give them a sense of pride culturally? King Arthur. That is all garbage. None of that. That is and so fucking.
It's also stolen garbage.
Yeah. Arthur is
because it started bullshit. To unite the Welsh, and then the English stole it.
Yeah. Yeah. The Victorians were
like
big
they've done with a lot of other things.
Yeah, it's like the Victorian era was the last big hurrah of socially acceptable historical revisionism. Like if people try to do that now, they'll get called out, and they'll be like, "That is not how it happened, bro." But I think a lot of folks don't understand that back in the day, changing shit up when you were supposed to be writing a historical document of note because you like the way it goes better in your head than the way it actually went, that was a perfectly acceptable way of doing things. Adding Jesus to Ragnarok was a perfectly acceptable way of doing things. If you liked Jesus and you thought the story was better if it ended with Jesus. These days, that's considered just absolutely unacceptable. But that was not how it was for 1,000 years plus. So, honestly, everything that we have is very much in question. But, you know, you only have what you have, and you can only do what you can do. But, yeah. King Arthur was basically... I mean, there is record of some kind of warlord in ancient Great Britain who was called Arthur. I think I may be exaggerating, but I think there was literally one mention of him somewhere in like a doomsday level book, you know, like where they were just writing down everybody. They were just making sure they were counting your goats, like that level of record of him. And out of that, like one mention of this one dude, like Victorian England fucking invented all of this horse shit. Because they were really, really into the idea of having this sort of ancient past, this laudable ancient past as sort of like kings, queens, warlords, knights, that kind of thing. And they just invented it. They just created it. And they took a bunch of, you know, it's the same way a lot of sort of, let's call it edited mythology came about, where they took stories that did exist and they took people that did exist and they just put a spin on them and then went, this is how it actually went. And then everyone, oh yeah, okay, that's how it went. I can see that. I like that way. So we're just going to decide that's how it was. There is historical, but then the Norman nation attacked.
He was based on a Welsh legend, and then the British stole it.
Yeah. And what's really interesting about Arthurian legend, like the original old school Arthurian legend, by the way, is that it provides a bit of evidence for what is known as the worst day on Earth, like the worst day ever, which is not really a day, but you know, that's a convenient way to think about it, where there was at some point a volcanic eruption that caused a volcanic winter all over Earth and caused a whole shitload of people to starve to death. And we know this definitely happened because multiple cultures all over Earth there is either written evidence, like they literally, like, shit's weird. Anyone else notice shit's weird? They
Net
either,
Fisher, the year with no summer is referring to something in the 1800s.
yeah, the
And we
worst.
have a lot of documentation on that too.
Hmm.
But that is a different thing.
Yeah.
Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein because of the year with no summer. Also, what's funny is that the year with no summer is why Stradivarius violins are so good.
Ah, it has to do with tree growth, right?
Because the trees grew slower,
Mm-hmm.
and that changed the quality of their wood, and that's why, like, you cannot get like Stradivarius violins again,
Mm-hmm.
is because you basically need a year with no summer, like, to get wood like that again.
Yeah, but the the whole deal with the worst day on Earth is, yeah, possibly Krakatoa, erupted and interrupted human life and civilization all over the globe. There are Chinese people who wrote about how there is a fog that is not wet, that will not lift, and the sky is gray. There was like a Roman senator who wrote about how the sun is in the sky, but it's not warm. And in Arthurian legend, there is a bit where Arthur wanders the land and half the people have died of starvation and the land is permanently gray. And that is thought to be a reference to the worst day ever. And it's kind of cool to think about, like, all these cultures all over Earth kind of experienced this, and they didn't know what was going on, but they knew something was happening, and they all sort of independently had their own way of documenting it. Yeah, humanity is very used to getting wrecked. Net Fisher, you want to know something wacky and wild? I don't know how true this is. It's a thing I saw in a documentary, but it sounds really fucking cool. The only reason organ transplants work is because at some point humans got their shit wrecked so completely there were no more than 12,000 on Earth, period. Like Homo sapiens. There are no more than 12,000 who were kind of in the same area and were kind of loosely related. And that's why organ transplants even work. Because we're not like inbred, but we're closely related enough that I can have your liver with enough medication. Because there was a bottleneck. It was a bottleneck event. And there was some kind of, we're assuming it was weather related. We're assuming it was desertification related, because that seems like the most sensible thing. And straight up, we almost didn't fucking make it. 12,000 is not a lot of people. That's a few stadiums, basically. Maybe 2 stadiums worth of people. I heard 800. Kristen Cheney, I can believe that too. Also, God, see, now we're just talking anthropology. And anthropology is one of those things I fucking love more than anything, so you'll have to excuse me. I saw a fascinating thing recently, and the fascinating thing recently is we all sort of have heard the theory about where white people come from. And not just white people, but humans with lighter than brown skin, where they come from. And the idea is when Homo sapien migrated out of Africa and into Europe and Asia, they need their vitamin D. And it's harder to get your vitamin D if you have a lot of melanin, because that skin, dark skin, is designed to deal with, equatorial sun. And when you have a lot of melanin, it's harder for the vitamin D to get made in your skin. So people with less melanin would have more of an advantage than people with more melanin in environments that didn't get as much sun. So that was the theory, right? But that is being questioned now, which is kind of fascinating. And they think the deal is now that it's less to do with vitamin D from the sun and more to do with farming. Like, Europeans started doing serious, like, no, we sit here, we don't move, and we grow grass, and that's what we eat. And apparently that is something to, like, the way that vitamin D is absorbed when you're on, like, a diet like that may have something to do with why light skin became a more advantageous variation. Kind of interesting.
Yeah, and that would make sense as why Inuit people still have darker skin.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that's the theory.
Isn't that cool? Isn't
Yeah.
anthropology cool, everybody?
It is.
I feel like the woman on the magic school bus, but it is cool. It is cool.
I'm just thinking about King Arthur shit because I read a lot of it before writing Misfits of Avalon.
Yeah, yeah, that was your Dark Horse book.
Yep. That no one has read. And is now.
Kill. Don't make enemies. Everybody, we're going to have to like see these people at conventions, so. That's the thing no one tells you about. See, you have to be like, polite. Because you never know, like 10 years from now, we'll be like, oh shit, the Dark Horse booth is right next to me at this con.
But yeah, so before writing it, I read La Morte d'Arthur, which is really boring. I read Mists of Avalon. And then I read The Once and Future King.
Okay.
And out of those three, I like The Once and Future King the best. Partly because The Once and Future King kind of assumes you already know King Arthur mythology. And just sort of fast forwards through the bits everybody knows. And is actually more interested in trying to fill in the emotions as to why these things would happen. Because, like, people who know King Arthur legends know that Guinevere and Lancelot had an affair. But why? Why would they do that? Like, if Lancelot is King Arthur's best friend, why is he fucking King Arthur's wife?
Probably because he's an asshole.
He's not.
Sounds like one.
Well, so the thing is, though, is like the way it's presented in Once and Future King is actually he was in love with Arthur.
Well, then his aim sucks.
Well, so it's like King Arthur came up to him and was like, I'm going to start Knights of the Round Table. It's going to be really cool. And Lancelot, like, put Arthur on a pedestal and built him up and was like, I'm so excited for this to happen eventually. And then King Arthur never came back because he got married. And then Lancelot was like, fuck this lady for ruining our awesome, cool bro times. And, like, so when he is finally old enough to go join the Knights of the Round Table on his own and doesn't need Arthur to come get him, he is a huge dick to Guinevere because she was just like the thing that was ruining everything. And immediately after, and he makes her cry, which makes him realize she is a human being with feelings and he was just a huge dick.
Fair enough.
And so then he ends up to make it up to her as an apology. He does all these heroic deeds in her name, and then she builds up an image of him that is sort of larger than life. So they're not actually having contact with each other until they're much older. And then they've both sort of built up this fake version of each other in their heads. And that's what leads to them ending up having an affair.
Fair enough.
It also acknowledges that was an arranged marriage, so Gwen and Arthur probably didn't like each other that much anyway.
Well, then he's kind of a dick for being angry at her when she had no agency in, air quotes, taking Arthur away from him.
Right. So that was the thing, is him doing grand gestures as an apology. And then they both, and then that led to, so he overcorrected basically in his apology. And then she built him up as this mythical great figure in her head, and he did the same. And so that's why it happened. And I think like digging into that is more interesting than like La Morte Arthur, which is like, and then the queen had an affair.
Because she's just so terrible. She's so terrible.
Yeah. And there was a line that I thought that really struck me is when they finally meet again, they're older. And it talks about she was so excited to see him that she, in an attempt to look younger, she accidentally made herself look older.
Okay. So too much makeup.
And I was like, that is a great, like, evocative description of, like, I, like, have a great mental image in my head, like, of what was going on.
She went in hard on Sephora and just came out looking real slapped. Real slapped.
Yeah, basically. And then Mists of Avalon is awful. I did not like that at all. Mists of Avalon can be summed up as, it's okay to abuse young girls if women do it.
Uh-huh. I haven't read that one, so.
It's all about like, oh, the horrors of the patriarchy, forcing a girl to marry a man for political reasons, even if he's cruel and ugly and abusive. But if a woman tells her to do it and forces her to do it for all those exact same reasons, then it's great feminism. Thumbs up, everyone. Feminism wins. High fives all around.
I always have I have a strong feeling, God, hold on, my phone is like sending me messages while I'm trying to do this. So even when I'm doing this, I can't fucking focus. God, where was I even going? I don't know anymore. I got too interrupted. Okay. All right. All right. I found it again. Found the thread. I always have a bit of a jaundiced eye when it comes to stories about princesses that start off in this way about, but father, mother, I don't want to marry the Duke. I want to ride my horse in the fucking fields, and I want to, shoot arrows, and I want to just, have a good time and shit, and I don't want to be a princess and sit in the castle and sew. And it's like, this feels super modern. Not to say that there were no princesses.
See, and it doesn't have that problem, Spike.
Yeah, but
it has the problem of the ladies are all pagans, and so they're less uptight about sex.
Right.
And so they're like, a lady should be able to fuck whoever she wants. And it's like, okay, cool. And then they're like, but you need to marry this guy that you hate, and you need to fuck him and have his kids, because we need you to do that for political reasons. Meanwhile, they're like, it is so awful that the patriarchy is forcing these women to marry these men that they don't want to marry for political reasons. So it's like, literally they're doing the exact same thing, but when the matriarchy does it, it's great, and when the patriarchy does it, it's bad. Like, and there is no self-awareness at all that this is going, like, that this is what's going on. Like,
the thing though that I always think about when, the whole sort of, I don't want to be a princess, ride side saddle away on white charger with hair streaming in the wind. Like, whenever I think about that shit, it's like, that's a really sort of modern interpretation of the whole, but I don't want to be a princess, because, there was a version of I don't want to be a princess that people actually did. It was called joining a nunnery.
Yes.
And people are like, well, that's just, a different prison. No, it was not. It absolutely was not. Because let's say I am a princess, and let's say I don't want to get married to, the Duke. My move is to, air quotes, take vows and go to the nunnery. And it's like living in like Kappa Phi house, basically. It's you fucked and you ate the best food and you hung out with your friends all day. That's what they did. They didn't like stomp off in a huff and then under cover of night ride away with their maidservant into God knows where with God knows what. people who
Uh,
didn't want to do the whole Game of Thrones thing, they air quotes became nuns.
yeah.
There
What's
was
very
yeah.
funny, there was a musical fantasy comedy a while back called Gallivant.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with the evil Duke kidnaps the hero's girlfriend, is gonna force her to marry him.
Mm-hmm.
And so the prologue is him daring off to rescue her, although like the Princess Bride. And when he gets there, she's like, so I thought about it, and actually I do really want to be rich and wealthy, and I don't want to live in a hut with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm cool with this. Uh,
Yeah,
and that's the prologue to the show.
yeah, if you are going to do the whole, but I do not want to marry the Duke father. If you're going to do that, all I ask is if you're going for any kind of historical sort of relevance, and you don't have to, but if you are, explain to me why they didn't air quotes join the nunnery. Explain that. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah.
Because
And
there were options. They were there.
Yeah. And the answer in Mists of Avalon is they're all pagans. But it's also they're using vagina magic to control men. So
Vagina magic, naturally.
Yeah, and someone else mentioned this in the chat. The author of the of Mists of Avalon and her husband were revealed to be inappropriate with children.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So that's why she thought it was great if a lady abused a young girl.
Yeah. Speaking of getting your heart broke by creative people, so Kehinde Wiley is been accused of something, and for folks who don't know who that is, he is the painter of Barack Obama's presidential portrait. He does neoclassical art, mostly of Black Americans, and it's really, really good shit. It's really, it's like, it's just, oh yeah, right there, 100, 100, good shit.
Did he also do that painting of Beyonce?
I don't know, but his Barack Obama, if you want, just look up Barack Obama presidential portrait.
Yeah, and I've seen the Barack Obama one.
Yeah, and that, just imagine a fire hose hooked up to a giant tanker truck labeled the good shit. And somebody just flips the lever and blasts me in the face. Like that's how much I like Kehinde Wiley's work. Like it's the best thing. I love his fucking work. And someone is accusing him of being sexually inappropriate with them. And it's like, yay, fucking yay.
It's always what happens.
Yay, can't I have one person I like, please? Yay. It's just, fuck. It's literally free to not be a creep. Why?
Why is that so hard?
Pencilers, yeah, it's basically super saturated Black people on lush, usually botanical backgrounds. Not always, but usually. And it's just so sumptuous and decorative and just, I love it. It's the good shit. And apparently I can't have nothing. When I was in New York for like a comic convention thing, I stayed an extra day so I could go into the city and see a Kehinde Wiley gallery show because I wanted to see them in person, and I'm pretty sure those pictures are still up on my abandoned Twitter. Yeah, Abby Lark, it really just sucks that absolute power really clips. Absolutely. It really does seem that way. Although again,
I'm more a person who believes absolute power reveals rather than,
you know what,
corrupts.
That might be true. Although I should note, as a person who has been fucking lied on, it's entirely possible this is not the case. I mean, I wasn't there, you weren't there, we don't know. But I'm just so fucking sad that this keeps happening, that I keep liking people and it turns out they're sex pests. You know, it's just like, this is so depressing. Why? Why? Kinde, why? And of course he says, you know, that's not the case, but it straight up appears like it's this happened a few days ago, and there hasn't been any further on it, and it just feels like if this was character assassination, here's your chance to say, this guy's bullshitting and this is how. And that hasn't happened, and I think he's going to try and, I guess the kids would say, post through it, but I'm just like, So now I'm just like looking at Patricia Piccinini and just being all like, please don't be horrible. Please don't be fucking horrible, please. Please just be normal. If you don't know who Patricia Piccinini is, you're missing out, by the way. Oh no, Doug TenNapel. Oh no, Miss Ellsworth. Oh no. Former TenNapel fan. Oh god. I remember I have a few TenNapel books, and it was before, you know, the writing started going a little off the rails there. And it's just like, this is a thing with you. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, John K. Oh, wow. Yeah, I've mentioned this before, but I used to chat. This sounds like I'm bullshitting. I swear to you I'm not. But I used to chat with John K. on AIM on America Online, and he invited me when I was like 19 out to California to work on cartoons. And 19-year-olds are dumb, right? We all understand that.
But you were smart enough to say no to that?
The vibes were atrocious, is the best way to put it. The vibes were atrocious. And I was just like, why would you do that? And I literally laughed. I wrote, haha, yeah, right. And he said, no, seriously, we need people. Think about it. And I was just like thinking to myself, you know, okay. And I was just like, no, I don't know anything about animation. Why are you inviting a 19-year-old? You know, I wasn't a girl, but, you know, I was a girl. Why are you inviting a 19-year-old girl to move to California who knows nothing about animation? It's not as if, you know, I'm that one guy in anime who draws the perfect explosions. You know, that guy. The one animator who specializes in explosions and only I can do it. That's not the case here. You're inviting a 19-year-old girl to move to California to work for you. And again, 19-year-olds are idiots. We know this. But even
You were smart enough to be like, that's...
Yeah, this doesn't feel right. So, yeah. He called and did sex talk in the room. My friend... Oh my god, that's real! I thought you were joking, Abby Lark! My friend was abused by him and also talked to him on AIM. Yeah, he was on America Online, and his handle was passed around. People were like, did you know John K is on America Online? This is his handle. And you would just be like, hey, are you John K? And he'd be all like, yeah. It's like, oh, well, cool. I like Ren and Snippy. And then he'd send you, like, basically, he was so used to this, he had a ready to go, like, package, like a zip file or something of 4 young artists that were basically, you know, learn anatomy and do this and do that. So it was clear he was used to people talking to him on AIM. And yeah. And the last time I ever spoke to him, I'm glad he didn't get to you. Me too, Nudist. The last time I ever spoke to him, that was when I was in college in Atlanta, and I went to it was like a mini film festival. It wasn't really a film festival. I went to a mini cartoon film festival, and they showed that Yogi Bear short that he did, where like Yogi beats up the ranger. I don't even know what it's called, but if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. And I was just, you know, I was just chatting with him, and I was like, hey, I saw that thing you did at a film festival I went to a couple days ago. And suddenly that was like all he cared about. And he came across as such like a raging egomaniac. It literally put me off talking to him forever after that. Because all he wanted to talk about for the ensuing half hour was me telling him in detail all the audience reactions to all the specific scenes. And it's like, okay, well, you know, fuck me and what I wanted to talk about, I guess. And it's like, yeah, you're gross. I'm not talking to you ever again. But yeah. Yeah, Abby Lark, narcissist. Absolute narcissist. Absolute weirdo narcissist.
I'm glad I don't have any art heroes.
Well, I can tell you right now, Scott McCloud is perfect. He's a
I mean,
wonderful man.
I met him before I knew that much about him, so
Yeah, he's very sweet. He's a very kind
yeah,
man.
he came to talk to SCAD, and
Yeah.
he was our textbook.
Yeah.
And I've met him a couple of times. So
Yeah.
he's nice.
Yeah. Scott McCloud's a great guy. I'm not going to sit here and say
I'm just saying,
everybody is
like,
terrible.
I have no heroes, no gods, no masters.
No gods, no masters, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think the big problem happens when people have, like, Madonna whore put people on pedestal kind of relationships with people who inspire them. Like, I love the work of Ralph Bakshi, but I wouldn't call him my hero, you know? It's like I understand the context of what he did and why he did it and what he accomplished and how kind of the whole system was against him while he was doing it. And I admire that. I think Wally Wood he holds a lot of symbolic importance for me. And I didn't even know about him like 10 years ago. But now, just the story of Wally Wood and what he tried to do. And how, I believe somebody on Blue Sky put it perfectly, how he was, and I quote, consistently out of pocket. And I really admire that in a creative person, a person who kind of goes their own way and does their own thing and doesn't just want to spend their life kind of taking orders. And, you know, the world worked against him. Stan Lee, DC Comics, Marvel Comics, they literally worked against him and his attempts to branch out independently. And it kind of, he died a broken man in a lot of ways. And, you know, that's a really powerful story. And I love what he tried to do and what he tried to do for comics and what he tried to do for himself. And I think he was kind of this unrivaled draftsperson. And his story is a sad story, but he left behind an incredible legacy. But I don't consider him like my hero, you know. Also, Dwayne McDuffie, yeah. Dwayne McDuffie is kind of in that same neighborhood as Wally Wood, where they were clearly trying to do something that the world was trying really hard to stop them from doing. In case you couldn't tell, I got a type. Got a type of person I admire. The person trying really hard to do a thing, and the world is trying really hard to stop them. And, you know, Dwayne did that, and Wally did that. And I guess the nice thing about Dwayne, if it could be said to be a nice thing, because, God, I think sometimes about, you know, what he'd think if he was around now. Like, what would he have thought of Black Panther? What a shame that Dwayne McDuffie never got to see Black Panther, you know? But yeah.
I think it's a shame that he never got to meet his half-brother. I bet they would have done something cool.
Stop it.
What?
Drake fans going through that right now. Yep. Oh, that was an interesting thing to go through on Blue Sky, because I'm talking specifically, by the way, about the Drake Kendrick beef, because I like Blue Sky a lot. Blue Sky is fun, and it's very safe, and it's better than Twitter, but it is also extremely white. And as a knock-on of the extreme whiteness, there's kind of not a lot of penetration of, we'll just call it the culture, over on Blue Sky. So a lot of people needed catching up. A lot of people were like, what's happening?
Yeah, wait, did people just learn that he was a shithead? Because I learned that, a lot of I know nothing about music, and I knew that he was a shithead. Yeah, like, I'm surprised that, like...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's... The thing that I really... Oh, God, the beef was so good. It was so fucking good. The times I literally, like, laughed out loud while I was, like, listening to a song. I can't remember anything like that happening before. But there was a lot of... And this is not me, like, being insulting or condescending or anything, but there were a lot of white people who were like, what's happening? And I remember thinking to myself, FD Signifier needs to upload something now. There are so many lost people. And I don't have the time or the inclination to explain everything that is going on to all these wonderful people who just want to know why I'm laughing so hard.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't follow the beef, but I already knew that Drake was a piece of shit.
Oh, he's garbage.
It's funny because you know how I learned that he was a piece of shit is because there's that meme that's him like saying no and then nodding, like.
Yep.
And someone there's a similar meme that's Geordie LaForge. And they took that meme. It's like using a meme structure where someone is like, nah, and they have a picture of that abuser Drake. And then the yes part of the Geordie LaForge one was using Geordie LaForge's meme to make the exact same point without supporting an abuser. Yeah. Like,
one of the things that's really, the thing that I love that has been has come out of the beef now is everyone knows. You know, like a lot of people have put their explainer videos up. So if you were curious and you had even a modicum of sort of motivation to sate your curiosity, you know now. And there are people who are fucking playing, you know, They Not Like Us in the clubs and shit. And when they try and put Drake on afterwards, people are like, boo, get that shit off. It's like, see, now people know. That's good. That is the good thing that has come out of this. He will probably not get the punishment he deserves, but people know now. And he was fucking publicly brutalized by Kendrick Lamar. It's just really good. It's just really, really good. I didn't think that was ever going to happen. Oh, when I saw that he had actually dropped a fucking diss track, I was like, no. You're kidding. No, I won't be hurt again. No. I'm being lied to. This is going to be a fucking Rickroll or some shit, but no. Multiple diss tracks that were literally just, like, again, I don't know anyone's familiarity with, like, diss tracks. Like, the majority of them are just like, I look better than you, I'm richer than you, I'm smarter than you, I have more Grammys than you, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Occasionally you get something super brutal, and when it's super brutal, it goes down in history, like No Vaseline. No Vaseline. People still talk about that one because of how it was. But this is one of those things where people are going to be talking about this in 10 years. Like, this is going to be part of college courses. Because it's not normal for a diss track to be all like, no, seriously, you're a pedophile and I wish you were dead. That's like not normal diss track behavior. And I'm so glad it happened. I was there. Make me up a t-shirt. I was there. Him doing predator pings on the house. Yes, Miss Ellesmere. I was like, is that what I fucking think it is? Is that sex criminal, like, locator on Drake's fucking mansion? Oh my god. Your family should be ashamed of you and you act like you're the one ashamed of them. Yeah. Diss track that's like, let me talk to your mom. You raised a monster. I'm sorry. And the one that's like, hey, I'm sorry about your dad. Don't worry, I'll be your dad. Like, holy fuck. It was just really good. It was just good shit. And it's like, I'm laughing, but Drake is terrible. Let's not, like, forget the important bit. Drake is horrible. And now people understand he's horrible. And the best shit he came back with was, I'm too rich to be a pedophile. And it's like, bro.
It's like, no, that actually makes it more likely that you're a pedophile. Yeah, that actually
helps a lot, actually. Like, wealthy pedophiles are... It's not like there's a dearth of wealthy pedophiles in the historical record, my dude. You're short and you're... Yeah, exactly. Like, you're short. Well, I think you should die. I think you're a pedophile and I wish you were dead. And the whole bit... Oh my god, the bit where he... All right. So I have to go into this because I fucking love it so much. I love it so much. Black people are not monolith. That's a thing I constantly need to sort of remind people of. That there is no singular black experience, and that's super important. Drake, by virtue of being a biracial man who identifies strongly with black culture, does not mean he gets unfettered and unquestioned access to a subset of rap culture that is very, very strongly West Coast. Like, that's still there. People think of, like, the whole East Coast, West Coast thing as, like, really 90s, really early noughties. But no, that's still there. There is a very... The same way there's, like, Dirty South there is East Coast and there is West Coast. And the same way there is like Chicago drill and house music, there is East Coast. Those are very distinctive musical cultural identities. And for people like Kendrick, that was like, you know, he came up in that, you know, like that is what made him sort of the musician he is now, sort of that West Coast rap. And the idea that, I mean, no hate on Canadians. I have many Canadian friends, but some random idiot from Toronto can show up and cosplay West Coast culture is just so viscerally offensive to him. And I think he laid his case out really well in his diss tracks, where he's just like, no, it's like, you're not us. You are not like us. And that's not him being racist. I've seen people try and call it anti-Semitic. That's fucking pathetic. Shut up. No, he is being very clear about what he disapproves of. He thinks Drake is like the Starbucks of rap. He thinks that Drake he's inauthentic. He's not real. He is just this sort of cartoon version of the culture that has defined Kendrick and a lot of the music coming out of the West Coast. And that's offensive. That's offensive for someone to put your culture on like a costume and then act as if not only that they belong when they clearly don't understand, but they define it. And that's Kendrick's whole deal. He's the McCafe of rap. Selfie, yeah. He's not even the Starbucks. He's the McCafe of rap. Holy shit, that's even better. Oh, yeah. He is a fake rapper, Bird Wizard. Yeah, and you'll notice like in the early diss track, like in the first one, he just talks about like when you were like singing those little cutie pie love songs, no one cared. That's fine. But you're not doing that now. Macklemore is the Starbucks of rap. Iggy Azalea is the Starbucks of rap. Oh god. It's just but yeah, well, I'm just saying that I agree with Kendrick that Drake is trying to sort of, these are daddy issues. This is, at the end of the day, these are daddy issues. He had a dad who didn't give a fuck about him, and this is him trying to figure out how to connect with this part of himself that is absent. Because for folks who don't know, Drake's mom is Canadian, but his dad is American. His black dad is American, and his black dad was not there for him. And I think this sort of cosplay that Drake does it's him working through some shit. Hey, Abby, no, I like gas station coffee, and I will not have it tarred with the same brush as Iggy Azalea. How offensive. How terrible. See, the thing about gas station coffee is sometimes you need the nastiness, you know? Sometimes you need that fucking tepid, disgusting sludge. You need it. The same way you need Red Bull.
I have no opinions on any of these people's music because I could not identify it.
I genuinely fucking love Kendrick Lamar's stuff, and I am proud to say I've never heard a Drake song all the way through. I don't like
if you played both of them, I could not tell you which is which because
Kendrick would be the good shit. Kendrick would be the good shit. Also, this is a thing that I like focus on because it's something I've noticed and it pleases me for reasons I can't really define. I just find it really amusing. If you watch Kendrick Lamar like music videos, like Humble, like if you watch Humble or something, a very common thing for him to do is, you know, the music's going, the visuals are going, everything's happening. If you look in the background, there'll be like just this one white guy. Just this one white dude. Like, there's this really interesting scene in I think it's from Humble, where I could be wrong though, where Kendrick is standing there, and they always stage Kendrick in such a way where he's never too close to other guys, because then you notice how short he is. And I'm sorry, that's simply what they do. It's the truth. But he's standing in sort of like the front, and he is surrounded by men who have their heads completely encased in coils of rope, and the coils of rope are on fire. And behind that is like a boxcar from a train, and there are people like on the boxcar, and they're like, you know, they're just sort of bumping a little bit. They're like getting into it. And then way off to the left, there's this one like super white guy. Like, he's blonde, and he's there, and he's, you know, he's not doing anything. He's like bumping along with everybody else. It's not a big deal. But I see him, I'm like, hello. I find his presence really amusing. I like it. I should note that I like it, and I like him, and good for him. But I just like that he's there. It's just Kyle. Kyle's there. Kyle's in the Kendrick video. It's fine. It's fine. Kyle's in the Kendrick's video, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just love seeing Kyle. And now when I see Kendrick Lamar videos, I look for the one white guy. I'm like, oh. And from now on, I'm going to call him Kyle. Yeah, it's a very one of these. Yeah, he's cool. He's just hanging out. It's just Kyle. They're like, hey, Kyle, you want to be in the video? And Kyle's like, sure. But yeah, I really like Kendrick Lamar's like entire catalog. I'm going to actually find music now, and I'm going to see what I'm going to recommend. Like, he has so many. Like, I really fucking like Blacker the Berry, but that might just be me. I like The Heart Part 5 too. God, let me see. I'm going to basically force you to listen to some Kendrick Lamar. Sorry. Yeah. God. You know what? I'm not gonna do this now because I'm gonna like fucking curate a list and send it to you, Kel, because I really like his music. And here's the thing: it took a while for him to grow on me, because when I first heard him, I thought he was a little too squeaky.
Spike, I'm gonna be real. I'm probably not gonna listen to that playlist.
That's fine. That's fine.
Because I have musicals to listen to on repeat.
That's fine. That's fine. Oh my god, I'm actually gonna call him.
When they make a jukebox musical using his music, then I'll listen to it.
Entirely possible. Entirely possible. I can see it happening. Like, The Beef being a fucking stage play, like, in 10 years. Entirely possible. Easy to picture.
I mean, they made a jukebox musical out of Green Day's American Idiot, so...
you did not have to remind me of that.
Yep.
Oh, God.
That exists.
I wish I don't. Yes, it does, and there's nothing anyone can do about it, I suppose.
And Mamma Mia is one of the most popular.
Mamma Mia is one of those things where I see the ads for like the movies and stuff, and I just think to myself, it's like it was grown in the lab to be the most unappealing thing to me ever. Like, if
it's for white drunk wine moms.
It's like it's
that's who it's for. That's the target audience. It has laser focused on them.
Yeah, like the remit, the fucking mission statement for the government grant was, you need to make a thing where literally every time Spike sees it, just a very gentle frown flickers across her face, and she changes his channel. That's what Mamma Mia is. It's just, and you know what? If you like Mamma Mia, that's fine. That's fine. This isn't me judging you. It's just, I'm talking about my tastes. So
you don't like ABBA?
I could not give less of a shit about ABBA. I'm sorry.
What's very funny is Hi, a production person at Iron Circus.
The excellent production person.
Is on a Napoleon kick, and watching all these movies about Napoleon, including the new bad one.
Oh no!
And I watched one older one with Hi, which is about the Battle of Waterloo, and I was like, I keep thinking, Waterloo, yes, I'm finally facing my Waterloo. And then I had never heard that song. So after we were done watching the movie, I was like, all right, Hi, we're gonna expose you to some ABBA.
And again, I am extremely accustomed to things not being for me. I mean, fucking look at me and look where I live. You know, I'm very used to that. But just some things are just, they aren't just not interesting to me, they are actually repellent to me. And Mamma Mia is kind of one of those things. And again, not being objective, being fully subjective. Because you never know on the fucking internet. People are like extremely close. I've seen people talk about this, about how, maybe in theory now, because people are less religious, they put that fervor into things they are fans of. And because of that, they get really hostile if you say, I do not care for it. And it comes off as unbelievably insane, the reaction, unless you understand kind of the hole that is filling in them.
Yeah. A lot of people are that way about certain turf wizards books.
I just feel... I saw a TikTok. I very rarely see TikToks, but I saw this one because it was being passed around because it was funny. And it was a tattoo shop. And it was the person going around to all the tattoo artists and saying, hey, what's the most millennial tattoo? And someone was going, cartoon characters. Another person was like, stuff that's made pointillist, little pointillist tattoos of animals. That's the most millennial tattoo. And then someone without hesitation went, Harry Potter tattoo cover-up tattoo is the most millennial tattoo. Not a Harry Potter tattoo, a Harry Potter cover-up. Because people are like,
Yeah.
They all have to come in and get their cover-ups of their fucking Harry Potter, like, I'm in fucking whatever, Hufflepuff. They have to get that shit covered up.
Oh, the TSA agent last time I was at the airport asked me what Hogwarts house I was, and I was like, none.
Oh my god, I know at least 3. Yep, it's the most millennial tattoo, the Harry Potter cover-up tattoo. That woman is insane. I'm sorry, we'll stop talking about her. It's just, she's so insane. It's wild. It's
shit. Harry Potter is banned in my Discord.
I understand.
You're not allowed to talk about it. Yeah.
And I understand, and this is, I will end it with this, but Kel, did you see that Elon Musk, of all fucking people?
I did. See, the thing is I'm okay with talking about her, just not in my Discord.
Yeah.
That's my safe space. No one's allowed to talk about her there.
Yeah. But Elon Musk, for folks who missed it, Elon Musk, of all fucking people, that fucking rat think scum fuck of all people, like, wrote to her, it was like, maybe chill on the turf shit a little bit. Of all people.
Well, here's the thing, is he basically told her to smile more.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, he sure did.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is
this too, even Elon wasn't even, yeah, he was like, is this too much? Yes, slimy. He's a,
so
see,
like,
the one thing that makes Elon Musk okay is he will probably be bankrupt.
So Spike, yeah. So when you were skeeting about the Sinfest person,
Tetsuya Ishida, yeah,
possibly being an egg, and people coming in and talking about the theory of, some people are theorizing that Rowling is an egg, and I was like, I absolutely do not believe that.
No,
like,
I don't believe that either.
Yeah. She cares way too. She has motherhood way too much on a pedestal. To be an egg.
For folks who are not up with the lingo, by the way, an egg is a person who is trans but has not actually realized it yet.
The joke being that you break an egg and then a chick comes out. Yes.
But yeah.
So really, trans dudes should have their own version of egg, but everyone just uses egg anyway.
Ishida is unmistakably egg-shaped. Yeah, Abby Lark, there was a podcast I listened to that was on Blue Sky.
Yeah, House of Decline. Someone said it in the chat.
Yeah, House of Decline. And they had this whole moment where they were like, okay, because it was House of Decline, who, I'm sorry, I only know House of Decline as their fucking handle. And also Midnight Society, and I'm sorry because I only know their fucking handle. House of Decline and Midnight Society were having a discussion, and they had this moment. And they were both like, now, that transphobe is just a closeted trans person. That is bullshit. And no one should do that. And that is not helpful and oftentimes not true. And a person does not have to be secretly trans to hate trans people. So nobody should go around tarring everyone with that brush, like, oh, that transphobe is just trans. And then they paused, and they were both like, however, we're talking about Tetsuya Yoshida, where they're just like, the vibe is unmistakable. Tetsuya is a rotten egg, is the theory. He is a rotten egg. And the argument is compelling. I mean, obviously, they can't know, I can't know, we can't know, none of us can know, but the argument is compelling. God. And the idea that this used to, like, he started off life with just, like, not life, excuse me. He started off his comic with just, like, Liberty Meadows from Temu. You know, he, like, stupid, cheap, knockoff bro humor comic. And it was just, and then you like, check out, and you check back in a few years later, and it's the most insane shit you've ever read in your life. Something is going on with that dude, man.
Yes.
Yeah. But everybody, it is 10:07, and I haven't had dinner yet, and I want to go have soup. And so, if it's, oh God, I can't believe 24 people are in here. Thank you for coming, everybody. Holy shit, thank you. Everybody, please, like and subscribe and hit the bell so you get a notice every time we have one of these. We are going to do our very level best to have one every week on Thursday, starting at 8 Central. I am Spike. Hi. I am the founder, owner, and editor for life at Iron Circus Comics. And I am also founder and owner of Iron Circus Animation. Please go to ironcircus.com to check out our catalog, and go to lackadaisy.com to check out Iron Circus Animation's very first animation project. The comic you've been watching me very slowly draw when I can stop talking for 5 fucking seconds is Blakada. It takes place in not Central Asia and stars Fievel Moskowitz and some Keebler elves doing a revolution. You can read it at blakada.com if you go http:// no https, because it's a forward. It'll take you to my my pillow fort. I am on Blue Sky as Iron Spike, all one word. And yeah, like and subscribe.
I am Kel McDonald, and I make comics about gay werewolves in the future that you can read at kelmcdonald.com. I also frequently stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/kelmcdonald. You should come join me Sunday night. I'm going to play Baldur's Gate and play as my beautiful murder boy tiefling. He's already told everyone about his intrusive thoughts, and everyone told him it's okay. Everyone wants to murder people sometimes.
Ain't it the truth?
And yes. But then he's gonna do a murder, and they'll be less cool about that. So yes, so please join me Sunday at 8 p.m. Pacific time, and watch me run around as a beautiful tiefling.
Yeah.
Little murder is a treat.
Little murder, because he's been good.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. I super appreciate it. Y'all are rock stars. You're the best. Have a good rest of your week. Bye, everybody.
Bye.